So with release of Minecraft 1.20, they added in the ability now to get the Piglin mob head. And if you ever gotten a mob head before, you know it's not easy. You need a charged creeper, and you gotta blow it up next to a mob. Either it was previously a skeleton, a zombie, or another creeper, or even a wither skeleton too. But now you can get a Piglin. The problem is, getting a Piglin mob head, you either gotta take the charge creeper into the nether, which is kind of hard because you know it's charged, and then or you take a piglin into the overworld. But the bigger issue with that is they will only stay a piglin for about 15 seconds before they turn into a zombified piglin, in which case you can't get the piglin head there. So what I did is I made a piglin mob head farm, which first makes charged creepers and then sends them into the nether. And I'm going to go over all the sections here, but let's get started. So first I want to start with the overworld. Now where you put it in the overworld doesn't matter. The only requirement is, for me, I like things above where any other mobs can spawn. So you only want your mobs to spawn up in this spawning area, and we're going to look at this in a second. If you're wondering what this kind of design is, this is based off a Shulkercraft design for a mob head farm, which was then actually based off a Stromne mob head farm. So 3 layers deep on that one. What it does is, on one section it spawns in regular mobs, so the skeletons, zombies, creepers, and on the other side it just spawns in just the regular creepers. And then eventually a thunderstorm will happen, it'll charge the creepers, and then you can get the mob heads from that. What I did is I retrofitted it to add in the option to send the charged creepers into the nether. And that's where the real magic happens. So let me show you first the regular mob farm, and then I'm going to swap it over to going into the nether. So the player will stand down here, and then all the mobs will spawn up in this area. And there's 2 chambers. There's the area for the regular mobs, and then the areas for the creepers. And you'll notice that the roof is set lower, because that way only creepers will spawn in here, and we've got the slabs to prevent spiders from spawning. And then on this section, we'll have regular mobs, so that the zombies, skeletons, and the creepers will spawn in here too. The walls are all made out of stairs. This helps with pack spawning. On the right side, we've got some mobs already spawning, so we've got the skeleton and the zombie. And eventually, because they are within range of the player, they will start walking around and eventually start walking off on the trapdoors that they think are blocks. And then they'll start falling down into a holding cell here. Now on the left side, we have a bunch of creepers starting to spawn in, and they're also walking off onto the trapdoors, which are down, and they're falling into their holding pit, which is right down here. Now their holding pit is reliant on this hole for the lightning to go down and hit this lightning rod that will charge them all. So we're going to wait a little bit. We're going to get a bunch of creepers piled up in here, and we're going to get a bunch of mobs in here. And I'm going to show you the basis of the normal farm, and then I'm going to switch it over to the getting to the piglin mob head farm. Eventually, if you wait long enough, your mob cap will be filled up with both creepers on one side and all the other mobs on the right side. Now what we need to do basically is wait for a thunderstorm, and that could take forever. Not technically, but you know, a little while. But we're just going to go ahead and simulate what happens when the thunderstorm happens, and you can see all the creepers get charged and put into their secondary holding pen, where it holds the charged creepers for when then we can get to the regular mob heads. So they just got struck. It activated the redstone circuit to close off the lightning rod and dump all of the charged creepers into their holding cell, and then close off the other section. So if more creepers come in, they are completely separated. And now we have them in this section where we can get mob heads. So what we're going to do to get the charged creeper down and a mob up there, just right click on the note block. It puts each mob into a minecart, and it puts them right here in the center, so I can get my flint and steel. And then if you would definitely should have a shield, because you are going to take damage from this. You're not going to be able to back off enough away to not take damage in time. It just happens too quick. So I recommend either right clicking with a flint and steel or using a fire charge if you have a bunch of those. So it'll kill the zombie, and it'll dump both the minecarts and the zombie head in there. And you can keep doing this I can go ahead and get another one. And just keep doing this. Obviously, the mobs that get put into the minecarts, it's random because you have 3 sets here. You could put in an elaborate system for separating the 3 different mobs, the creeper, skeleton, and zombie, to 3 different chambers. That way you can get specific mob heads. There are a couple videos online about that. But this is the basis for the mob head farm. Now, to switch it over to go into the piglins, I built this section where it will change the water stream from pushing them into this section to pushing them through a portal. But before we do that, let's go into the nether so I can show you that section. Okay, so here we are in the nether section. Now this area is important. It has to be built in a crimson forest, and the main reason is because of the mobs that spawn here. There's the zombified piglin, the piglin, which obviously we want, and the hoglin. You won't have to worry about any other mobs as long as you go in the crimson forest, because we want to get the piglin. Now when we send the creepers through, they will come through this portal, and they'll actually be like right in the center. So they'll be right here, and then I want them to jump out into this holding section right here. They will eventually jump out on their own. I put in a cat to scare them away, to go a little bit quicker. If you can't get a cat here, that's not a deal killer. It just makes it quicker for them to move out, because I mean, if you're sending like 5 or so creepers through, they will eventually push each other into this holding cell. But the cat scares them quicker. So it's up to you, whichever is easier for you. Not gonna lie, getting a cat in here was not fun. Now the main point is this area right here, and then over here this is where we want the piglins to fall. So I have this spawning platform right here, and then the player will wait up there, which puts them, this whole section, into the spawning area. Now what's important about this is that piglins are scared of soul torches, hoglins are scared of the warped fungus, and then zombified piglins want the eggs, the turtle eggs. So what I did is I made the hole for the piglins, I made 2 holes of lava for the hoglins to fall into, and then a hole for the zombified piglins to go into. The soul torches scare the hoglins away to go kind of a center, because they're going to walk past this wall back and forth to try to get away from these soul torches. So they'll eventually fall into that hole. The warped fungus scares the hoglins this direction away, and then they'll try to go away to an area they can walk onto, which is the blocks over here, and then they'll fall into the lava pit. And the reason I put these blocks here is because no mobs can spawn on those red blocks. That's I don't think it's really important, but it just helps with the whole farm. And of course, all the zombified piglins will run right over here, and they'll go after the turtle egg, and they'll fall onto this wither rose. Now, you don't have to have the wither rose. You could just have a pit that falls to their death. If you're in a nether and you don't have the room to get them out of spawn range, you might have to go with that option, or even fall onto a cactus if that's all you have. So what's going to happen is all the piglins are going to fall in here. The charge creepers are going to go in there, and then when you come in, you'll come in from that portal down below. So right over here is the switch that will either send them locally or into the nether. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a free cam, and I'm going to flick the switch so you can see how the circuit changes over the farm to keep them here to moving them into the nether portal. And on the back side, I have this area because it's another portal. Zombified piglins occasionally will come through. This will attract them, so they'll go over there and kill themselves, or of course cactus, or you can drop them to their death if you have the space available. So when I flick the switch, the dispenser on the right is going to suck up the water. The dispenser on the left is going to dispense water, and the fence post, or the fence gate on the right, is going to open up, and they're all going to flow into that portal. So here we go. They're all pushing themselves. The ice helps out. Sometimes they don't all go. Okay, we'll leave that one. All right, now let me go into the nether. Now the thing about this is their portal's up there, my portal's down here. That way that I can go to the nether, same close by area, and it doesn't prevent them from despawning. Now we have all of our charge creepers in here, and we have our piglins in there. Now the reason it's built like this is there's this red line here. Anything in front of this red line is going to take damage from the charge creepers. So you got to make sure that your charge creepers and your piglins and even your cat are on or behind this red line. Otherwise they will take damage over time, especially your cat. Every single charge creeper will slowly damage it. They will both ride a minecart to this section. They will be dumped out on top of an ender chest, and then the minecarts will run into the cactus and be put into the center chest. So let me show you that. So I'll press that button. Charge creeper gets put in there. Piglin gets put in there. Take your flint and steel. And there he goes. Then we have another piglin head. And the reason you're probably wondering, how am I killing creepers with glass surrounding it? Because they're on top of an ender chest, it doesn't take damage. If you don't have multiple ender chests, you could just use obsidian, crying obsidian in lieu of the glass. So let's do another one. And then we just like that, you're basically a piglin farm. Now I want to show you the kind of spawning mechanics. So as you saw, a bunch of piglins spawned in. They all ran away from the soul torches, and they're trying to run across this wall, which of course they all run right into the hole. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes their AI mechanic gets them kind of confused, and they'll run off into another direction, which is fine. They'll spawn more. So they either run to lava, which will kill them, or they'll run into the wither rows, which will also kill them and allow for more spawning. Now here we have some zombified piglins that spawned in. They're all attracted to the turtle egg, which they all jump for, right for, and go. Some more piglins. They're running away from the soul torches, and the zombified piglins. They're also scared of them too. So they're all trying to go to the left, and they're all trying to get into just run across the left side, because that gets them away from the soul torches. Now that one did try to go in the opposite direction, and so did the other one. They tried to go into the other area thinking that they could get away, but you just have to go with the law of averages. Eventually, you wait long enough, you will get them all spawning into the left side. This hoglin, for example, he's trying to stay away from the warped fungus, so he's going in one of the other options, and he went to the hole for the lava. Unfortunate for him. Here's some more hoglins. So they're trying to get away from the warped fungus, so the big one went in there, and the little one's going to follow him. Now I currently have this working in 1.20.1. I'm sure it'll work in 1.20.2 because there hasn't been any changes to charge creeper mechanics or piglins or any of the things that would affect this farm. I will also leave in the video link description the download for this particular farm, so you can download it, put it in your own world. I would recommend, if you are on a multiplayer server, that you have another person in the nether at this farm, because if you're sending mobs into the nether and another part of the nether is loaded, those mobs will despawn, which is not what you want. You want to make sure that multiplayer server, you've got a person in each dimension loading it to keep those mobs loaded so they don't despawn. Also, for these holding cages, you obviously can only hold whatever the max cramming is if you're on a server, whatever it could be. Typically single player, it's set at 24, so once you hit 25 mobs in a holding chamber, they will start taking damage. So I would not waste your charge creepers. Don't try to stockpile more than 24 charge creepers in this holding cell. They will die. It won't blow it up, I don't think. 99% sure, but you will just be wasting your charge creepers if you do that. It's best to just, after every lightning storm, just go in, clean them out. I also recommend, after you've already gone through all your charge creepers, come back to your overworld section, because what's going to happen is typically you're going to take all your charge creepers on the left, but you're still going to have a boatload of mobs on the right. and then you'll get a mismatch of like a couple charge creepers eventually, but then you're going to have so many mobs built up on the right. I would recommend after you've got your mob heads, fly away, walk away, whatever, let all these mobs despawn, and then come back. That way you could start getting an even distribution of creepers on the left and all your other mobs on the right. You don't want to get overburdened and then wondering why you're not getting any other creepers spawning on your left, because once you hit your mob cap of about 70 hostile mobs, no more are going to spawn. And if you've got 70 on the right, you're not going to get any on the left. I'm also going to have the video link description below, the original links to the Shulkercraft mob head farm, which I've designed this off of, and of course Stromne, which they designed theirs off of, to give you an idea of how it's built and how it can work. Is this the greatest farm? No. Does it work? Yeah, sure. It's an easy way to get Piglin mob heads reliably, along with, of course, all the other mob heads, instead of trying to just get onesie twosies. If you guys get any questions or comments, leave them below. And as always, I'm Baron Dome, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.